Hello, I'm Catherine Miner. I'm one of the French program consultants here at CLET World Languages, and it's my pleasure to be with you today to tell you a little bit about Reporters Francophones, which is our newest title for middle school and high school French classes. So in case our name is new to you, I wanted to start by sharing a brief video of who we are and what we do here at CLET World Languages.
At CLET World Languages, we see educators as our partners. We are passionate about guiding them through the textbook adoption process while providing them with the tools and solutions they need to succeed. We love our students and teachers across the United States, and we are dedicated to providing exceptional and personalized customer service in everything we do. For these and many other reasons, join us on this fantastic adventure.
So let's start with an overview of what makes this series really special. It is an inclusive and innovative three-level French program for middle schools and high schoolers, and it follows a communicative approach to learning that allows students to really learn French through projects and real-world scenarios. It offers authentic and engaging content that really introduces students not only to a contemporary portrait of French culture, but also awakens their curiosity about the French-speaking world as a whole. And it is perfectly aligned with ACTFL's World Readiness Standards. So here we have a breakdown of the series by level. You can see that we also offer a split edition for middle school. And the series really has a nice, steady progression that is going to take your students from that novice low designation up through intermediate mid by the end of volume 3. The components of the series are a student textbook with 6 units per level that is divided into 2 lessons, a workbook that mirrors the structure of the student textbook, so 6 units per level, 3 if we're talking about that split edition for middle school, divided into 2 lessons. There's a teacher edition available in both print and digital format that gives you access to great teaching tips and resources. And finally, a lot of really unique resources that are also available on My French Hub, which is our online platform. So let's talk about Reporters Francophones in 8 facts. First fact, Reporters Francophones has an original concept. Each unit is based around the life of a real-life teenager who lives in a French-speaking country or French city. And so it presents these different French-speaking cultures in a way that is free of stereotypes and really appealing to teenage learners. And this group of young reporters they're a group of young journalists and reporters that have created a magazine, the Magazine des Reporters. And in this magazine, they publish articles on everything that interests them and about their culture. And they also create fun videos. So there's a way for your students to really see themselves and identify with each of the Reporters Francophones. And so here we have our group from level 1 representing French Canada, Martinique, Morocco, Paris, Nantes, and Grenoble. So you can see that there's a nice mix of French-speaking countries that your students might not be as familiar with, and then also even some cities within France that they may not really have been introduced to or thought about yet. And so here, just to give you an example of those fun videos that the Reporters Francophones create, here's an example from Unit 4 of Level 1 with Melissa in Martinique.
Salut les amis, ça au fait. Je m'appelle Mélissa, j'ai 15 ans et j'habite à Fort-de-France. Fort-de-France est la capitale de la Martinique. La Martinique est une île de l'archipel des Antilles et elle est située dans la mer des Caraïbes. C'est un drôme, un département et région d'outre-mer français. Et oui, ici, nous sommes en France.
And so as you can see, these videos are just really engaging for your students. They're not going to understand every word, but the really key concepts are accompanied with visuals to help them along. You'll note the inclusion of Creole when Melissa is talking, so really trying to emphasize that linguistic diversity that we find in French-speaking countries as well. And here's an example of Le Magazine des Reporters, which is included in every unit. So here we have an example from Louise Leblanc, who is a reporter in Paris, and she's talking about Paris et les séries télé. And so again, these are perhaps series that your students are going to have seen, been familiar with, Lupin, Emily in Paris, showing them that they probably already know and have seen more French culture than they might assume. And once again, this is just to emphasize how up-to-date this series is. All of the cultural references are really things that are modern and currently going on in French culture. Here we have another example of the magazine that really allows you can see how students are going to start to be making those intercultural comparisons. Here, L'École en France, and they can begin to reflect and think about the ways in which the school system is different between their country and France. Fact number 2 is that the unit organization really addresses teachers' needs and wishes. We have done a lot of research and put a lot of effort into making sure that we connected with French teachers across the country and produced a textbook that was really going to meet their needs. So on each page of the unit, you'll see that you've got essential questions that are really clearly stated to allow students to start reflecting and developing those critical thinking skills. You have a clear outline of the mini projects that are going to be introduced. You have an opening activity and information on the French-speaking country. You have 2 or 3 double page spreads per lesson. And as you can see here, you've got can-do statements that are clearly marked out at the top of each page. You're going to have clear guidelines for your students because activity types are going to be introduced through verbs like lire or écrire. Every unit is going to seamlessly integrate those 3 modes of communication: interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational. You're going to find tips and strategies that students can refer to for successfully carrying out activities. There's lots of modeling, and things like vocabulary and grammar are introduced in a color-coded way at the point of use so that students, while they're seeing them in context, they also kind of have this sidebar that gives them something to refer back to and allow them to start making comparisons between French and other languages. And then another thing that is really unique about this series is the way that vocabulary is introduced. It is first, as we saw, introduced in context. You're not going to find a vocab list on page 1 or 2 of the lesson. Instead, those vocab presentations are going to come at the end of each unit. So after students have already seen and worked in context with the words and the language, they're going to have this nice illustrated summary at the end of each unit that kind of gives them a lot of different ways for how that vocabulary fits together, how they can use it in different contexts, and even allows them to personalize and expand on that vocabulary. Because this is a project-focused, project-based approach, each lesson is also going to have a mini project and, of course, a final project. And these are really set up to be very motivating for the students to really combine all of the different vocabulary and forms and concepts that they have seen in the 2 units and allow them to apply them with this final project. So here we have an example where students are asked to create a comic strip, a bande dessinée, which is such an integral part of French and French-speaking cultures. They're always going to have a nice, clear model set out for them for the final project. And then there's also going to be a wealth of assessment material for these projects available on the online platform. And finally, with each unit, you also have an IPA evaluation. So students can really practice all 3 modes of communication: interpretive, presentational, and interpersonal. So a third great thing about Reporters Francophones is that it really speaks to today's young learners. It's got a great integration of games and fun classroom activities and ideas to help keep students motivated. And there's really a focus on tasks and cultural context and vocabulary that students can relate to, as well as on authentic and engaging documents to hold students' interest. So, here you can see that we have this nice video of these 4 Canadian students who are introducing themselves on a video call. Plenty of our students have spent a lot of time on video calls over the last few years, so certainly something that would be familiar to them. The 4th thing that is really unique and wonderful about this series is that the workbook offers lots and lots of additional practice for your students. So in addition to all of that wonderful communicative activity that they're going to be getting in each unit with the textbook, they also have this really clearly laid out workbook that allows them to go back and practice those skills. And then the 5th reason to consider Les Reporters Francophones for your classroom is that we offer a wealth of materials and tools for differentiation. So on the My French Hub platform, you're going to find differentiation worksheets for accommodation. You're going to find differentiation worksheets to challenge students that need a little bit more challenging tasks. And you're also going to find in the Teacher's Edition a lot of helpful annotations that are going to suggest ways to accommodate your students' needs or challenge them further, whatever the case may be. A 6th reason to love Reporters Francophones for your classroom is that Reporters Francophones is a promoter of equity and inclusion. It was really important to create a textbook that offers a wide variety of cultural perspectives and that allows students to see themselves in the people and resources that are presented throughout the series. So here we have a few examples from the Level 1 textbook with Louise in Paris, Je suis française, Melissa in Martinique, and Yassir in Morocco. And this emphasis on equity and diversity and inclusion extends into all components of the series, including the workbook, really wanting to make sure that we present a wide variety of perspectives. The 7th reason to think about Reporters Francophones for your classroom is that it features a really robust assessment plan. We know that you as teachers have so much on your plate, so much going on, and you don't need to be reinventing the wheel every day, having to always come up with your own assessment materials and rubrics. So it is really our mission and our priority to support you by offering you a lot of those materials, including around 150 pages of assessment plans that are available. So you'll find that you have evaluations for each lesson, you have evaluations for the IPA, you have a mid-semester evaluation and an end-of-year evaluation. And you also have these My Progress worksheets that are available on My French Hub, and these allow students to check their progress against can-do statements. You also have self and peer assessment rubrics, and those are available for every mini project and also for the final project. And our final reason to think about Reporters Francophones for your classroom next year is the wealth of digital resources that are available on our My French Hub platform. So not only do you have access to an interactive version of the student textbook and workbook where students can complete activities and receive immediate feedback via the platform, you also are going to find grammar tutorial videos and pronunciation video tutorials. You're going to find that assessment program that we talked about. You're going to find closed captions and audio recordings, authentic videos, plenty of rubrics, and also resources for planning. And as I mentioned, all of these features are going to be entirely interactive on the platform. So students can write directly in the text input fields, they can record themselves, they can attach files, they can redo activities, and they can send their work directly to you, their teacher. So I hope that you feel that you know Reporters Francophones a little bit better from this presentation. And if you have any questions, would like to know a little bit more, or would be interested in some sample materials, please contact us. It would be lovely to speak to you about your language program at your school. Thank you and have a wonderful day.